Hi, everyone. It's so good to be connected with you all again. My name is Kenzie Dolan, and I am the heart, the mind, the soul, and the brains behind Ruby Jade Rituals. And I wanted to give back to my most loyal clients of 2020 by providing them a free training with astrology and numerology to help with the basic blocks of these two beautiful practices. So, today we are going to be launching a new extension of Ruby Jade Rituals, which is named Ruby Jade Academy, which is going to allow me to provide you information with astrology, numerology, and whatnot, other rituals that I do to kind of make my life a little bit more high vibrational. Today, we're going to be learning about the 12 signs of the zodiac, their modes, and their elements. Hopefully, at the end of this, you will be able to put another badge on your astrology vest, even just embarking on these Ruby Jade alchemy readings. You're expanding your mind, and really, that just gives so much of a padding when it comes to your self awareness journey and the journey that surrounds the people that are around you as well. Very happy that you have taken interest in the language of the stars, and I'm so happy to deepen this newfound glory of yours because it is said in the astrology community once you begin your astrology journey, you really don't ever stop. There's always that curiosity there, and I'm so grateful and humbled to bring you more information on this beautiful, beautiful language. So, before we get into the material, I really want to set an intention for us today. And I think it's so important to think about what's going on in the sky. So, December 21st is actually the Grand Conjunction. And I'm sure some of you have seen that on social media about what the Grand Conjunction actually means. And it means that Jupiter and Saturn are meeting in the same sign. And that happens every 20 years. And it's been happening quite a bit in Earth signs, but this is a new dawn, and Jupiter and Saturn are finally meeting in a different element, and that is the element of air, which revolves around our mental activity. And rolling this training out to you all is so important, but it's really important to select a date that aligns with um, the objective of this, and is to raise the vibration, up level the collective, and I think astrology does that. So I selected this date in particular. Jupiter and Saturn are meeting in the sign of Aquarius, which is all about the future. And I really hope that you gain a lot of wisdom, which Aquarius has so much. And we look to Aquarius for new ideas and going from one mental plane to the next. So that is the intention today, is to open your mind and to just go from one idea to the next, maybe spreading this training to your friends. If it can reach mass levels, that's another reflection of the sign of Aquarius. And I would love for anyone that is curious like you with astrology to be able to have access to this information. But I'm giving it to you all first because you all are so dear to my heart. I'm going to call you my rubies because you are my first clients in this new career that I have as a certified astrologist and practicing numerologist. So thank you so much. Now that we have our intention in place, let's go ahead and clear the energy of the room. I like to do this through a ritual of using Palo Santo or sage. When I clear the energy, I really think about the intention that we just made. So please just join me in closing your eyes and thinking about that intention that we just made together about going from one mental plane to another. And begin to open your eyes. And then let's get started. I'm going to run through another ritual that I like to do when I am learning. I like to be in a comfortable setting, um, light a candle, have some Palo Santo burning. Sage is good too. Laying out crystals. Um, Also, putting on something that you feel good in, whether that's your pajamas or a really nice piece of clothing. This is a vintage piece that I love. I put on some of my favorite jewelry just to kind of get in the frame of mind that we're going to learn something new. This is going to expand our minds and whatnot. Um, Now, before we dive into the material, I do want to point out that maybe having two things handy while we go through this material might help. So, those things are a notebook and some type of writing utensil. If you want to jot anything down, maybe you have some follow up questions. Keeping something like this handy when you're learning anything, um, especially astrology, is good. And then also, if you have your zodiac wheel from one of our Ruby Jade Alchemy readings, pulling that up would be so beneficial. So, if you want to do that as well, that would be great. And then we can get started. I can't wait. All right, I'll see you in the next All right, everyone. We are on to the next portion of the course. I will not be on video, but I will be with you here on this keynote presentation. That way you can just focus in on the information. Please keep in mind that you might not have the best sound. I'm recording this from my apartment in New York City, and as you all know, it's a noisy city even with the pandemic. So I do apologize if anything is in the background noise. But once again, if you have a notebook of any sort, and then a writing utensil, and then in addition, your natal birth chart that was given to you during a reading, that is going to set you up for success and you're going to learn the most. The main objective of this course is for you to gain a deeper understanding of the signs that are in your chart and where they're placed in your chart. All right, so if I sound super serious, it's because I actually am kind of nervous. This is the first time I've ever done this. I've had a coach who's told me to just begin anywhere, and that's what I'm doing. I barely had any sleep last night. However, the moon is in Gemini. That's my moon sign. That's a great time to communicate, and so we're doing it. So, anyway, the name of this course is important. So 12 has been selected for the name of this course is because 12 is so prevalent in the study of astrology. If you think about it, there's 12 signs, and then on top of it, there's 12 houses. And to just relate back to, everyday life, people that don't do astrology, think about it. There's 12 months throughout a calendar year. So the number 12 is really important. But with numerology, we take that number a step further. So, the number one thing to relay to you about the practice of numerology is that it is based on simplified numbers. So, when numerologists derive your ruling number, it will never be a number past 10. Maybe it's 11, maybe it's 22 or 33, but those are exceptions. So 10 is really the end mark for numerology. Now, some people work with angel numbers like 555 or 666, and those are totally relevant, but you would actually almost take it a step further, which is what we're going to do with the number 12. So if you take 1 plus 2, you get 3. And then if you look at the practice of astrology, there are 3 modes, and we're going to talk about what modes are. We're also going to talk about what elements are. So if you take the number 12 and you do simple division and you divide it by 3, you get 4. And in astrology, there are 4 elements. Now, the difference between modes and elements is something that I don't want you to get confused because it is totally different. And the way to think about it is the fact that modes really have to deal with a lot of different signs and different elements. So I'll say that again. Modes are going to have signs that are coming from different elements, but that are all still maybe cardinal per se, where elements really stick with their element. So you're going to have the fire signs, the earth signs, the air signs, and the water signs. And all of this is going to make sense. All right, shake it out. We're finished with the numerology portion of the course. Congratulations. I hope you found it easy and enjoyable. The best thing about numerology is that it's simplified math. It's nothing complicated like the courses that I had to take to get that accounting degree that I don't really use anymore. But hey, who cares? Now look, I'm a certified astrologist, which just shows you can really do whatever you want. You are not tethered to your degree. But anyway, that's a different topic. Let's go into astrology, which is what I'm really passionate about. So, Aries is the sign that starts off the zodiac, and Aries is associated with the first house. So, if you have any planetary transits in the first house, you actually have a layer of Aries energy. Now, Aries, as we know, is a part of the fire family, but many people don't realize that it's also a cardinal sign. So in total, there are going to be 4 cardinal signs, and you'll see that every element will have a chance to be a cardinal sign. That will make sense as we go on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next sign in the zodiac, which is Taurus. So we're not going to spend too much time on the houses, but I do want you to kind of be able to look at the wheel and kind of just visualize it. I'm a visual learner, so I just want to kind of translate how I learned this to you. So it's associated with the second house. It's the same thing that I said with Aries. If you have any planetary transits, even if they're not in the sign of Taurus, you still have a layer of Taurus energy in that particular house. Now, with Taurus, it's a completely different mode compared to Aries. It's fixed and it's also a part of the Earth family. So at the end, I'm going to give you all like some rapid fire characteristics of each of the 12 signs. That way you can kind of write them down, synthesize the information even more. But we're going to keep moving, and the reason for that is because we're completing a cycle right now. And I'm going to point that out when the cycle is completed at least once, which we're actually right about to do. So the next sign in the zodiac is Gemini, and Gemini is associated with the third house. So remember 3, okay, there's 3 modes in astrology. Therefore, we've completed one cycle. This is the end of the cycle where we go cardinal, fix, and now we're on mutable. So Gemini is mutable and it is an air sign. And so, what is going to be the next mode for the next sign? I'm going to let you kind of guess by yourself, and you'll see in the next slide. We are moving. And so now, where are we at again? We are back at another cardinal sign. So there you go. Congratulations. You finished your first cycle where we completed the modes. And like I said, every element is going to have a chance to be in cardinal. Every element is going to have a chance to be in fixed. And every element is going to have a chance to be in mutable. And you'll see that as we go through the wheel. So Cancer rules the fourth house. It's the fourth sign of the zodiac, so that's easy to remember. Okay, we're talking about four. We talked about four earlier. What is four associated when we talk about astrology? All right, there's four elements. So now we're ending the element cycle, and we've talked about fire, earth, air, and now water. I love how my energy levels are just fluctuating. It's so funny because this is totally someone that has a Gemini moon, and the fact that I'm a Scorpio sun, I mean, woo! Thank God I have that Cap rising. It really kind of brings me back in. But anyway, let's stick to the material. So now we're moving to the fifth sign of the zodiac, and that's Leo. And you'll see that we're back at fire. So when we started out in the presentation dealing with the signs, we started with a fellow fire sign, which is Aries. And so Leo is the first sign where we get that. I don't know if I would say advanced, but I guess I'm going to use it in the term right now where we go to the next level of fire signs. So Leo is a fire sign, and it's also the second fixed sign. So I want to make something clear because I was talking about how Aries is then transitioning to Leo, and it's kind of like the next level of the fire signs. That doesn't work with the modes. So when we go throughout the different cycles and we're going from one sign that is cardinal to the next, that doesn't mean that they're advancing quote unquote levels like I was explaining with, the elements. So that's just something to keep in mind and something to not get confused. But let's go ahead and move on. And we are now on the sixth sign of the zodiac. We are halfway through the zodiac, and Virgo rules the sixth house, and it is a mutable earth sign. All right, before we move on to the seventh sign of the zodiac, I do want to point out that we just completed another cycle for modes, and kudos to you if you already noticed that, but we went through another cycle where we had cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So that was Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. And now we're moving on to a brand new cardinal sign, which is Libra. And Libra is an air sign. So we went through fire, water, and now we're on air. And in addition, Libra actually starts the second half of the zodiac wheel. So before we were working on the bottom through 1 through 6, and now we're going 7 through 12. And that is totally different energy. And I would actually not bring that up right now. I'm going to make another course about that. All right, lol. When I said I would, I meant like speaking to myself, not you. I'm thinking out loud, giving you guys this course information. Sometimes things just don't relay as concise as I would like it, but you know what? We're just gonna stick with it and we're not gonna edit it out. So, no one's perfect. We're gonna keep moving, and we're now on the eighth sign of the zodiac, which is very close to my heart because I am a Scorpio sun and I have three other planetary transits in this sign. It's Scorpio, and Scorpio rules the eighth house, and it is a water sign, and it's fixed in nature. So we just ended another cycle. I don't know if maybe that was easy for you to catch, but we went through the cycle where we went through the elements of fire all the way down to water. Once again, we went through fire, earth, air, and water, and now we're back at another fire sign, and that is Sagittarius, which is the ninth sign of the zodiac, ruling the ninth house. and it is in the mode of mutable. And it's a very, very, gosh, Sagittarius. It is probably one of the most interesting signs to me, especially with that element of fire. And you know what? I'm not going to share any bias, but the fact that we are learning and I am giving you this information with astrology, that is so Sagittarian. So if any Sagittarians are watching, hello, thank you for your energy. All right, we are going to keep moving. We just started a new cycle in the element of fire, and we're going to take it all the way through water. And then now, does anybody see that mode that's up on the slide? It's cardinal. So we've begun our last cycle for modes, and that is with Capricorn. And Capricorn is actually my rising sign. So when I look at my chart, I have a Capricorn rising. It's starting the first house. And remember that first house is associated with Aries energy. So I have double cardinal energy right there. Um, so that's just kind of a tip, a way for you to kind of get thinking about your own chart. So Capricorn deals with the 10th house. Because it's the 10th sign of the zodiac, it's cardinal and it's earth. Moving on, we have only two signs left in the zodiac wheel. We are on the 11th sign, which is Aquarius, ruling the 11th house. And this sign, I talked a little bit about in the introduction about the Grand Conjunction. 2021 is a year where Aquarius is really ruling and is taking that center stage. And it's ironic because even though it's taking center stage, its energy is very opposite of that. It's more about humanitarian, and I think that's really great for our future. So I think that it's something to be really excited about. But this is an air sign, and it's also fixed. So that means that it's mental activity, but it's very strong in that mental activity, strong in its convictions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the 12th sign of the zodiac, and that is Pisces. Pisces rules the 12th house, and it's a mutable and water sign. So things get really dreamy here, and I love that term. And I'm going to share more about the different characteristics of each signs and also the characteristics of each mode and each element in just a minute, towards the end of this keynote presentation. But once again, congratulations, we finished another cycle, and this cycle was the 12 zodiac signs. We also finished the fourth cycle of the modes, and then in addition, we finished the third cycle of elements. So in total, we finished 3 cycles. And remember that calculation that we did at the very beginning where we took 1 plus 2 and we got 3? Well, here we are. We're finishing 3 major cycles of learning astrology. And I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your mind. I promise you, this is just the beginning. So, like I said, I'm going to give characteristics of each of the modes and the elements along with each of the signs. So, we're going to start with the modes first. So, cardinal signs are very, very initiating, enterprising, outgoing, and just originating. So, actually, if you think about it, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, what do they do? Okay, so they actually start each season. If you're living in the northern hemisphere, Aries begins spring, Cancer begins summer, Libra begins fall, and Capricorn, sorry, begins winter. So, in order to do that, and in order to change the season, there has to be a lot of energy. Okay, so we then have to really think about the term energy because that can mean so many different things. There's a lot of energy in cardinal signs, but the same for fixed. Um, Fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, those signs are what keeps the seasons in place. They are very, very strong and sturdy, and they're resistant to change. And it's kind of like when we're dead in the winter or it's dead in the summer and it's flipping hot outside and you just want to get in air conditioning. It is the type of environment where we're really feeling whatever element is going on. So, once again, a lot of energy behind fix, and the same with cardinal, just different type of energy. Okay, so we are on our last mode, and this is when we are able to transition out of one season to the next. So I'm going to stick with that analogy because I feel like it's the best and easiest to visualize. So when you think about that, when we're moving, for instance, out of winter into spring, like what is happening? Obviously, the trees are budding and all of that beautiful stuff. Now, in fall, from summer to fall, the trees are turning different colors. Another beautiful cycle. With mutable energy, it's versatile, it's flexible, and it's adaptable. In addition, there's a little bit of refinement, and it adjusts well to change. And that's why this type of energy works well with both fixed and cardinal signs. All right, so we're going to move on to elements, and I'm going to give the characteristics of the elements, and then I'm also going to showcase that type of language I was using earlier where I was saying it's advancing to a next level, and I'm going to see if it can kind of resonate with you all. So, fire signs. Sorry, I'm thinking like a couple different things right now. Fire signs, very good in social situations. We talked about that. Live experience is one of their fortes. Active, enthusiastic. I would say that about all three of these signs. Um, Now, the way I describe each of the fire signs is in this way. Aries, it's a cardinal fire sign, so I compare it to lighting a match. Leo, it's a fixed fire sign, so I compare it to like a campfire where everybody wants to crowd around it. And then Sagittarius, it is a mutable fire sign, therefore it can move around, so I compare it to a torch. We're going to do the exact same exercise we did with fire with earth. Now, earth has qualities of being practical, stable, and grounded. I also like to think of life when I think of earth signs. So, for Taurus being fixed, I like to think of the seeds going into the soil, roots taking form, and then those flowers able to sprout up. So, it's fixed, it's going to stay there. Now, with Virgo, it's mutable, so there's movement involved, and this is what I like to think about. I like to think about the end of the season, the crops being fully grown, and so the farmer going into the fields, grabbing those crops and bringing it to the farmer's market. And then the last earth sign is Capricorn, and it's cardinal. And Capricorn is on top of the mountain, and it's beautiful up there and everybody wants to go up there. However, not everyone wants to put in that work, and so that is where that cardinal energy comes into play, where Capricorn is the first to walk up or maybe run up that mountain. Yes, I know I'm going over into slides where the audio doesn't maybe match up with the slide. Apologies. Pause, take notes, do whatever you have to do. We're going to move on to air. Air is very intellectual, communicative, and mental. And the way I compare these signs is either through activities that humans do or just like the environment that we live in. So, Gemini being mutable, it can change. I like to think about talking. and communicating and getting a message across. Also, I like to compare it to the atmosphere and how the atmosphere changes so much. Libra, I really like to think about the breath. And that is just like so crucial to like survival. And so once we take breath, we have life. And then Aquarius, I like to think about it with like gravity. Um, that's always going to stay fixed on planet Earth. All right, so we're rounding out the elements. We're moving on to water. Water is emotive, intuitive, and empathetic. And the way I like to describe water signs is using bodies of water or just ecosystems. So, Cardinal is the first water sign and it's Cancer. And I like to think of bodies of water that either humans or animals that cannot fully survive in water have access to. So that's beachfronts, ponds, um, anything where maybe like there is a river, but like you're not in the river, you're just on the side fishing type of thing. That's what Cancer is. It's very, you're starting to get to the water, you're not fully in it. And then Scorpio is you're like in the deep dark ocean. Maybe you're in the middle of the ocean. It also could be in places where the water is not moving a lot. So I like to think about like caves, cenotes, maybe swamps. And then the final water sign, there is a lot of movement, and Pisces is connected to everything. So I like to think of bodies of water that are connecting one another. So rivers, waterfalls, anything like that. Once again, apologies that the audio and slides don't match up. So, what you're seeing right now is my chart. And what I want you to do is, I want you to practice this exercise that I'm going to teach you now that the course is completed. So, you know all 12 signs, you know the three modes, and the four elements. What you want to do is, you want to look at your chart and you want to look at places that have a lot of activity first. So, I'm going to look in the 10th house. I have four planetary transits in Scorpio. That means I have water, and I have fixed energy. The next one I would move to is the Capricorn energy. In the first, I have three planetary transits. That means I have cardinal and I have Earth. And then I would do that with the other planetary transits. And that is going to give you a good idea of where you're proficient and where you're deficient and where you're maybe lacking and might have a blind spot. We've completed the course. I really hope you enjoyed this. I've enjoyed teaching. The last thing I want to teach you is that you are never just one sign, you're always all 12. And the way that you could verify this is to start at the first house where your rising sign is and count all the way to 12. And that is how you will verify that you're all 12 signs. Thank you again, and see you in future learnings.